Have you ever wondered how intelligence agents can, master these incredibly complex skills at lightning speed? Well, today, we're going to unlock the CIA's secret strategies for learning when the stakes are super high. And this isn't just theory, okay? This is a real-deal playbook for a smarter, faster you.
I mean, it's the kind of question that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, right? How do you memorize entire blueprints at just a glance? But here's the thing. These are real skills. They were developed for situations where failure just isn't an option, and they all rely on this powerful, repeatable set of techniques that anyone can learn, including you.
And that is exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to break down these strategies step by step so you can apply them to, anything you want to learn. Could be a new language, a skill for your job, or maybe just acing that next big exam.
Okay, so before we even get to all the cool secret techniques, we have to start where the agents do, with the mind. Seriously, because the right mindset, that's the foundation for everything else. It's what separates just, casual learning from what we'll call mission-critical mastery.
So, what's the big difference here? Well, think about traditional learning. It's usually pretty passive, kind of open-ended. We read a chapter, we listen to a lecture, and we basically just hope it sticks. But spy learning, that's a whole different ballgame. It is built on two things: urgency and active observation. It's about engaging with the world with real purpose and intensity. And you know what? These mindset shifts are surprisingly simple to actually do. First, you've got to create some pressure. Give yourself a tight, artificial deadline, say 1 week to get the basics of a new skill. This just forces your brain to prioritize what's important. Second, you need to train your observation. Here's a little exercise for you right now. Look around the room, then look away and try to recall 5 specific details. It sounds simple, but it's a powerful way to dramatically sharpen your focus and your memory.
All right, so we've got the mindset down. Now it's time to open up the toolkit. We are about to walk through the 7 core techniques that spies use to just supercharge their learning. Seriously, think of these as your new secret weapons. First up is the 80-20 intelligence rule. Look, spies don't have time to learn absolutely everything. They have to be masters of efficiency. So what do? They find that critical 20% of the information that's going to deliver 80% of the results. And let's be clear, this isn't about being lazy, it's about being incredibly strategic.
Let's make this real. Take learning a language, for example. Instead of trying to swallow the entire dictionary, a spy would focus on mastering the 500 most common words. Why? Because that alone is enough to understand a huge chunk of daily conversation. The key, no matter the skill, is to find those core components and just hammer them first.
Okay, next up, the legendary memory palace. You probably heard of this one. You basically create a mental map of a place you know inside and out, like your own house. Then you place the pieces of information you need to remember in different rooms. To recall it all, you just take a mental walk through your house. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. It's used by everyone from Sherlock Holmes to real-life memory champs. And yet, it works for speeches, facts, even your grocery list.
And our next technique is something called chunking. See, our brains are, they're not great with long, random strings of information, but we're fantastic at spotting patterns. So, that number on the left, that's a total nightmare to memorize. But you group it like the number on the right, suddenly it's just a phone number. Easy. By breaking down complex info into smaller, logical chunks, you make it instantly memorable.
Look, making something memorable is only half the battle. You have to be able to pull that information out of your brain on demand, and that is where active recall comes in. Just passively rereading your notes, that's one of the worst ways to learn. Spies don't do that. They are constantly testing themselves. They're making flashcards, they're quizzing each other, they're forcing their brain to retrieve the information without looking. So remember this, don't just review, recall. So how do you maintain that level of intensity without burning out? Well, with something called the Pomodoro technique. Agents can't afford to get exhausted, so they work in short, hyper-focused bursts. It's simple. Set a timer for 25 minutes, and give one single task your absolute undivided attention. No distractions. When that timer goes off, you take a short 5-minute break. Trust me, it's a total game changer for both your productivity and your memory.
All right, here's a technique that guarantees you actually understand the material and you haven't just memorized it. Have you ever tried to teach something to someone and then suddenly realized you didn't get it as well as you thought? Yup, that's the power of the Feynman technique. To really master a concept, you have to be able to explain it simply, like you're talking to a 5-year-old. This process instantly shows you where the gaps in your knowledge are, forcing you to go back, learn it better, and then simplify it even more. It's a spy's secret for getting to mastery fast.
And finally, to make sure all this new knowledge actually sticks, spies use something called spaced repetition. Look, cramming information all at once, it just doesn't work long-term. Instead, you revisit the material at increasing intervals. You check it a day later, then a week later, then a month later. This strategic timing basically signals to your brain, hey, this stuff is important, and that's what moves it from your shaky short-term memory into your rock-solid long-term memory.
Okay, we've covered the mindset, we've gone through 7 core techniques, but there is one final method, one that kind of ties everything together. This is the ultimate secret that really makes these agents some of the best learners on the planet. Let's get to it.
And here it is. The ultimate technique is sensory immersion. Think about it. Spies don't just study a new culture from a book, they go and live it. They don't just learn a skill in a classroom, they make it part of their everyday reality. See, true mastery, that comes when you stop treating learning as this separate thing you do, and you start integrating it into your entire environment.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, if you're learning a language, change your phone settings to that language. Start watching movies in it. Try to think in it. If you're learning photography, don't just read about cameras. Get out there and start shooting pictures every single day. The more you can immerse all of your senses in a skill, the faster you're going to learn. It's that simple.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here. We've gone from big mindset shifts all the way to a full toolkit of elite learning strategies. So now let's put it all together into a simple, actionable mission plan. It is time to activate your spy mode.
Here it is, your 4-step plan. Step 1. Identify that vital 20% of whatever you're trying to learn. Step 2. Use those memory palaces, chunking, and active recall to really absorb and hold on to that core info. Step 3. Use the Pomodoro technique and spaced repetition to make your learning super efficient and make it last. And finally, Step 4. Lock it all in by teaching what you've learned to someone else and, of course, immersing yourself in the skill.
So, at the end of the day, the question isn't if these techniques work. We know they do. The real question is, what are you going to do with them? You now have the playbook used by some of the most effective learners on the entire planet. So what's it going to be? What skill, what challenge, what new frontier will you conquer first?